Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making the Zodiac Clutch, which is my newly released pattern. Are you ready for the review, guys? Here she is. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty. So the idea behind this was a slouchy yet classy statement clutch, and I think I was able to achieve that with this design. It was inspired by the Bottega Veneta Jodie Bag. I just really loved the design and the structure. I added this cute zipper tab. It comes with an inner zipper pocket as well. Now I would rate this pattern an advanced beginner. It is quite simple to put together, but there are some techniques that might prove a little bit difficult if you're just coming across making something like this for the first time. But if you're feeling adventurous as a beginner, you can actually try it out. Trust me, you would love your bag once you're done with it. So I would also recommend using, if you want an easier time, using a fabric that is soft, much like this pink, something soft and supple. You would of course interface it with woven interfacing just to give it a little bit of structure, so it doesn't put too much strain on the material. So I also I did a little one. This is the Zodiac Clutch, printed in size 85%. It's quite cute, don't you think? So you can play around with this pattern and just do different things with it. I really love it. It is just so beautiful. I will link the pattern below. I'm in Nigeria, so sometimes I see people asking where I get my materials. I do shop for my all my materials at Mushi Market here in Nigeria, so unfortunately I won't be able to link where I get my materials and all of that from, but I will link the pattern. So without much ado, I think that's all the details I have to give for now. Let's get right into the video.
So right here I have my pieces cut out already. I already taped my pattern together. You're going to cut out your lining, the pocket panel, and the main exterior panels. Sorry I didn't show that here. I thought I took a video of it all. So I'm going to go ahead to interface everything, my main panels, my lining panels, and the pocket panels. So now we're going to go ahead to do our zipper tab. I'm going to place both pieces wrong sides together and secure them together with glue. Once I have it secured together, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch all around it on my sewing machine. Then I'm going to go ahead to separate the crown and the tab of my zipper. So I'm going to do that with my pliers. Then I'm inserting my ring, and once I have that installed into the crown, I'm just going to close the gap that we opened up earlier with my pliers. So next I'm going to insert my tab in through the ring, and you could either make it equal, like the edges of the tab when you fold over, you could either make it equal or just make it uneven to create some contrast. And I'm securing it together with glue, and I would stitch just a little bit at the top where I indicated to hold the tab together, to secure it rather, because we can't just use glue. So moving on, I'm going to be marking the centers of my main panels, and then I'm marking out all these measurements. Those are the guides for sewing on our zipper. So moving on, I have my zipper tape. I'm just going to install the zipper pull. Now once I'm done with that, I'm just trying to match up my zipper pull to the lining, so I know where I'm going to be starting and stopping my stitch. Keep in mind we already have marked on the main body panel where we're going to start and stop our zipper so where we're going to start and stop sewing the zipper. Those are the marks you can see. So we're not going to be sewing our zipper all the way. We're going to have the parts on both sides that are extended. Once I'm done with the first side, I'm going to go ahead now to match my zipper tape to the second main panel. Keep in mind that the zipper is right side to right side, so the right side of the zipper is facing right side to the main panel. So once I'm done, this is what I have. This is what the top of your bag should look like at the moment. We have the ends of our zipper tape extended. So now I want to join our two panels together at the top. I'm just going to mark my measurements for where I would start and stop my stitch on both straps. So I'm just marking out those measurements. Those are the places we are going to start and stop our stitch. So once I have my measurements, I'm going to start sewing, not at the top. That's an error. I'm going to move it now. Yeah, so I'm going to start my stitch from that mark at the top, and then we'll stop at the one we made at the bottom. While sewing, you want to make sure that you are pushing your zipper out of the way, like very clearly. Make sure the zipper is completely out of the way and it is not caught in your seam. So once we've done the long side, we're going to go ahead to do the short side now. I'm going to mark out the measurements for where I'll start and stop my stitch, and once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and sew in between those marks that I've made. Once I'm done with that, at the top of both straps, I'm going to center and just stitch my webbing. I'm going to sandwich it in between both exterior panels, and then I'll just stitch it in place. So we're going to take out that stitch later on, but you see why we need the webbing once we want to turn our bag right side out. Okay, so at this point we have our bag looking like this, and then we're going to go ahead to set this aside and work on our lining pockets. But this is just what your bag should be looking like at the moment. I'm just trying to show you what everything looks like currently. So we're going to set that aside and start working on our zipper pockets. I cut out my zipper tape. I would install the zipper pull. I have my zipper window marked already, so I'm going to center my zipper pocket on the on one interior main panel. I'll center the pocket and then just stitch all around that zipper window. So I'm going to cut, making sure to avoid cutting into my seam. These cuts that I'm making are just going to make it easier for that part to be laid when we push the pocket panel through that zipper window. So once I'm done cutting, I'm just going to push my pocket panel through the zipper window and then try to just smooth it. You know, it will just be easier for me to go and iron that part and make sure it's laid, but I'm just too lazy to get up. So I really want to finish this bag, so I just use my hands to sort of try to smoothen it out, and my nails, you know, as best as possible. So once I've done that as best as I can, I'm going to go ahead to center my zipper through that window, and then I'll just top stitch all around the zipper window to hold the zipper in place. So once I've done that, I'm just going to take the second zipper pocket panel and then place it right sides together with the first one, and we're just going to sew all around. So we have our zipper pocket ready. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark the centers of my lining panel, or both lining panels. So this next step is a bit tricky to explain, you just have to watch carefully. I'm going to separate the seam the way I did. So I'm going to separate that seam and then take one main exterior panel and one main interior panel, that is your lining and your exterior. You're going to place them right sides together at the top, and then you're going to stitch the two of them together. You have to make sure to push the other seam out of the way, like so. So you want to push the other seam out of the way and then sew the exterior and interior together at the top. So you do that all round at the top of the bag. You do that for both exterior panels and both interior panels. Like you pick one exterior, one interior, sew them together at the top, and then you pick the other exterior and then the second interior, then you sew them together at the top. I hope I make sense, guys. I just hope what I'm doing is you're able to understand the way I'm explaining, and what I'm also doing in the video is clear enough. So you also want to make sure to push the extended part of the zipper out of the way. You don't want to catch it in your seam at all. So this is what it looks like. We basically use the lining as a facing to turn the edges of that exterior panel in. So I hope it's clear what we are doing now. You want to do that to the second side as well. So guys, I'm really sorry I did not record the second side. I don't know how that happened, but you just want to repeat the same thing we just did. You repeat that to the second side. I hope you understand what I just explained. So once you've done that, this is what your bag is going to look like. I hope we can see what it looks like. So we have the lining and the exterior facing wrong sides together at the moment, and then I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to pull them to opposite sides like this. Yeah, so they are on opposite sides, and then I'm going to top stitch around where our zipper is installed. So we want to keep that place nice and flat. You just want to top stitch all around. You can go as slow as possible. You don't want to rush rather, sorry. So the processes to this bag are not a lot. Trust me, it won't take, once you've mastered it, it does not take much time at all. So I'm done top stitching now, and this is what my bag looks like. It's looking pretty good. The zipper looks neat, everything is clean, everything is flat and top stitched and nice. So we're just going to move on to our next step. So now we are going to sew our exterior and interior piece. Like we're going to actually sew the main bag. Now what you want to do is to make sure that you are keeping that your zipper, the extended parts, out of your seam. You want to make sure that that is out of your seam. We're going to finish that later with some zipper caps, the zipper end caps. Now we want to pull our interior and exterior panels. We want to pull them to opposite sides of each other. So the interior, the lining is facing right sides together on its own on one side, while the exterior is facing right sides together on the other side. So we want to make sure that our webbing is also inside. You don't try not to catch it in your seam. You don't want it in your seam, and then you just start sewing. So we're sewing the exterior parts right sides together first. You want to make sure that you push your webbing out of the way. So I'm done with the exterior now. I'm going to go ahead and do my lining piece. I'll place it right sides together also, and then I'm just going to stitch it close. Now you want to I used 1/2 inch for the exterior. You're going to want to go ahead to use 3/4 for your lining, so you don't have a saggy lining. So at the bottom of my lining, I'm going to leave some space that will enable me to turn my bag right side out. So I'm just going to leave my space and then move on to finish my sewing. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead to just trim my my lining a little bit to avoid my seam being too bulky. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to turn my bag right side out through the space we left at the lining. I'm going to open up the zipper right there. Yes, and then we'll turn the bag right side out. And this is where your webbing comes in and you're able to use it to pull out the straps, both the short side and the long side. So that's why I noted that you could just use scrap webbing. It's not necessary. You could just use any scrap webbing that you have. The main purpose of the webbing is to pull out your straps, because that I would say is the hardest part, turning the bag right side out, because of the way the straps are shaped. The shorter one is even still easier. The long one is quite hard to do, but once you have your webbing in place, trust me, it's quite easy. You just need a little bit of arm strength. That you want to be careful to not rip your material. Be very careful when pulling. Trust me, it will come out, but you just have to be careful when you're pulling. So you can see I'm just gently pulling. I'm just gonna push that place out, and with the aid of my webbing, start to pull the long strap out, right side out. Yeah, so just pull. You can see it's a bit of a struggle, but trust me, it comes out. I've done this several times already. Yes, so our strap is out. We're going to take out the stitches and just take away the webbing. Okay, next I'm just trying to push out the rest of the bag and try to adjust the shape with my hands as best as possible. Next, I'll go ahead to fold in the open areas of the lining and just stop stitch it closed. Okay, so it's looking good. We want to go ahead to the final part of completing our bag. Now on the long strap, you want to go ahead and tie a knot like so. This is why it's better to use a soft material, because you know these parts are just easier. So once I have my knot tied to my satisfaction, I'm going to take both straps. I'm just checking it out here to see if I like the position of the knot. So I'm going to adjust it a bit. And you can play around with it. Once you're satisfied, you move on to the next step. Okay, so I think I'm cool with the way it looks. Now I'm going to take the edges of my long strap and the edges of the short strap. So I want to place them right sides together and make sure that everything aligns, like they're not mismatched, and the handles are not wonky, they're not on the wrong side. So once I have them placed together the right way, then I will just go ahead to stitch them together like that. Okay guys, I know you can see the ends of my zipper poking out, but trust me, I finished it up with the zipper end caps. I completely forgot to record that part. I just realized that now, but trust me, you finish up the edges so your zipper is not fraying or anything like that. They're nice and finished, trust me on that. So once I'm done with that, I'm just going to pull it, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead to just place that open area wrong sides together. Remember that our seams are already finished with the lining that we did earlier. We turned it in with the lining earlier, so we just want to place them wrong sides together. Make sure we open our seams in those areas, otherwise it will be a bit bulky, and then we just top stitch it closed. Okay, you want to go slow, you know, just go slow. Make sure that your top stitch is nice and neat. So yeah, I do that a lot actually. I always put some oil, that was oil, just to, you know, make sure that my leather goes smoothly and it doesn't get scratches or anything from the feed dog. And once we're done with that, we are literally almost done. Just one last step left. We want to open up the knot, losing the knots now. So we want to move our knots to the other side, that is where that joining is. So we're going to hide that joining, like where we have the shorts and the long strap where we joined it together. We're going to hide it in our knot. So we want to start moving the knots. And honestly, you're going to need to adjust this a couple of times before you get it right. So I did that. I moved my knot around until I liked the position, and then I left it. So I just kept moving it around until I liked the look of it. And there we go. I think I'm quite satisfied with this. And finally, our Zodiac clutch is ready, sitting very, very pretty. Thank you guys. Please go grab your copy of the pattern. I love you and thank you all for the support. I really do appreciate all the comments and everything. I hope you guys love this bag as much as I do. Thank you, and please subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.